Good evening. Thanks so much for joining me. So this evening I was really excited to share my thoughts on 3 fragrances. I'm quite overdue to review quite a lot of fragrances really, but these arrived today. And because they're of a certain theme, they have captured my imagination and I'm just really eager to share my thoughts on them. So these 3 fragrances are from a company called Redolescent, not to be confused with Stephen's channel here on YouTube called Redolescent. This is a UK niche perfume brand and I wasn't familiar with them at all until recently. Claire from the channel Smurfy Girlie messaged me to say, have you seen the 3 new fragrances that have been launched from Redolescent? So I headed straight over to Redolescent and sure enough, there are 3 fragrances that have been launched in the theme of Alice in Wonderland. So Claire knows I'm a massive Alice in Wonderland fan. She is herself. I think there are many people out there that adore the stories of Alice in Wonderland. Spectacular kaleidoscope of crazy that is the journey of Alice in Wonderland and a coming of age story written by Lewis Carroll. I mean, I assume most people are familiar with the story and how richly whimsical it is and the morals and the poetry and kind of unique whimsy. It even goes very dark in places, but there's no wonder that this story has inspired so many other things. There's many film interpretations, including obviously the very well-known one made recently with Disney. My personal favourite Alice in Wonderland adaptation was a film created back in I think it was 86, and there was a whole array of actors, like rich stage actors that would play different characters, and it really brought the whole world to life. Back then it was just very basic props and stage props and puppetry, that kind of thing. Fantasy will feel more real in that way, but that's still my favourite because it wasn't gimmicky and it wasn't CGI and it just felt more like the world of Wonderland. The inspiration of Alice in Wonderland will always pop up in different things, on plates, different designs, people's parties. I had an Alice in Wonderland themed wedding. I did. It wasn't a fancy dress. It was more sort of a tasteful touch of Alice in Wonderland here and there. I couldn't even hold a bouquet. I wanted a corsage that's red roses, white roses, and just have little pops of the Wonderland around. And it was a really fun day. The focus was on the theme and everyone just enjoying themselves. I had blow up flamingos and like croquet on a little bit of the lawn on the golf course. Luckily there was a whole rose area which really worked with the theme. My sister was the maid of honour. She had a beautiful crimson red dress with stripy tights and kind of playing card symbols on her shoes, so she was the Queen of Hearts. I had 3 Alice bridesmaids in a beautiful light blue dress. I, of course, being the bride, was in white, so I was the White Queen. Little props and things people could try on here and there for photo opportunities, and there was just really fun elements. And that Alice in Wonderland will never get old. There's just so many fun, delightful elements no matter what age you are. My dad, who was a carpenter joiner and a very, very artistic, creative person, he made the classic signpost which had the over there, not over there, tea party, upside down, all that kind of fun, quirky stuff. He made the stand for that, used that at the wedding. He even made white rabbits signposted so that when people were coming to the venue, they knew which way to go. So he put a couple of these white rabbit signs at different like landmarks so people could actually follow the white rabbit and get to the venue. So it was just little elements like that. There's one thing I've never thought about Alice in Wonderland, that it's never come off as tacky or silly. I've never seen anything that's been inspired by it that's been silly or tacky or childish. And I think the way it's interpreted, it always comes across as something that's actually quite classy and has like an old school prim and properness about it. There's always that seems to come through where it's inspired. And that's where we're gonna start talking about these 3 fragrances finally from Redolescent. So the presentation of my little samples, I really, really enjoyed. And I've already opened it and ruined it all. I took a bit of film earlier, so I'll try and, add that to it. I actually really love their logo. It's very simple, tasteful. It has a little touch of quirk and a little bit of something, polished and royal. I don't know, I just really love the logo. But on the reverse, we have a wax seal. Love. I love anything with a wax seal. And it was just a nice touch to have. Hi Lizzie, welcome to Wonderland. Hope you enjoy your stay. Thank you so much for your support. All the best, Kyle. Just a nice personal touch. Like I say, I'm not too familiar with the brand, but they do have 3 other fragrances that were launched previous to this Alice in Wonderland lineup. I'm not familiar with them. I just wanted to dive straight into, of course, this theme. I didn't waste any time in ordering my 3 samples. So here we have the 3, and the 3 characters that they've created a fragrance around is the Hatter, the Mad Hatter, Alice herself, and of course the Queen of Hearts, QH. So I have actually sprayed all three on different parts of my body. So I've already got a bit of familiarity with these fragrances, but only for today. These are a fairly first impressions. They only arrived today. But I'm also going to spray them on these bottle cards just to refer to as well. So let's start with the Mad Hatter. Okay. Just bringing my own bit of gimmickry there. Let's go ahead and spray Hatter. This actually isn't the March hare, but I can't remember where I got that, but he looks so much like a crazy March hare. Let's spray Hatter here, and let's talk about what we have. So Hatter is actually the freshest of all three scents for me. It's based on the Madness, the Tea Party, and Leather. So the Hatter is caught at his chaotic tea party where Earl Grey tea, brown sugar and cucumber sandwiches clutter the table. Leather and suede reflects his artisan background while his metallic breath switches alongside you. So for me, the Hatter is quite a bright, rich, almost citric tea scent. I'm not familiar with tea generally. In terms of scent, so not something that I tend to gravitate towards. I don't get the cucumber, which I'm not mad about because I'm not into cucumber in fragrance at all. But the leather and suede is interesting in here. It kind of brings quite a warm, not resinous exactly, but there's a warm, almost balmy. I've just realised the link there. Not balmy, but a balmy undercurrent. No citrus is listed. There is no citruses here. But I get such a citric feeling, like there is a slice of both lime and lemon in a warm or a lukewarm tea. No milk, nothing lactonic here. This is all very clean and crisp. And perhaps that metallic element that they've put in this is bringing that kind of, you know, that citric element you get from citruses, which is interesting, but it makes me think of a tea that has a slice of lime or lemon. I think maybe even bergamot, because it's like in between the two, isn't it? It's a very bright, very strong citric element. Very fresh. It's a very good performing fragrance, this. So this is a tea party, but I would say that isn't actually too crazy, and it's just not filled with cakes and sugary elements. This definitely has a bouncy, fun, bright element in that, whatever that citric metallic, yeah, and it's bringing that bright, crazy element, perhaps. It's not my style of scent, so this is not my favourite one of the three. There are elements which I am enjoying, and perhaps that brown sugar's coming through a little bit. It's just a little bit too citric, metallic for me personally, but it's a good scent. So that's my thoughts so far on Hatter. Let's now sample Alice. So let's spray Alice. Now she is classed as an innocent, playful, precocious chypre. This is actually a forget-me-not chypre musk. How cool to include a forget-me-not. So that's a really interesting combination. I did feel really happy seeing forget-me-not listed on a perfume because I was so excited to see what that would be like. So let's see what we got. So Alice, a youthful girl, yearns to display maturity beyond her age. The fragrance embodies a delightful fusion of innocence and wisdom, with aldehyde transitioning into an enchanting fantasy floral blend, underscored by a subtle chypre foundation. A comforting musk-dried down evokes the gentle embrace of Dinah the cat. There's a lot happening here. Now with Alice, I'm going to say straight away that I've kind of fallen for this scent a little tiny bit. Something about this feeling through the notes that I'm actually picturing Alice in her blue dress. Now, to be honest with you, I shouldn't love this scent because I think, although it doesn't mention which flower is in here, because it says a floral blend, fantasy floral blend, I'm sure there must be tuberose in here. Or a white floral that gives you that bite, that chewy, that kind of bite. I get like a sugar-coated biscuit cookie. Let's say cookie because it's softer. That's been made with tuberose. So it's a tuberose sugar cookie. I wouldn't say I'm getting any kind of a chypre feeling from it. There's nothing sharp in here or mossy or that classic chypre. I'm not familiar with whatever musk could be in here. So it could be the musk is adding to whatever's bringing me this sort of chewy bite of something. The forget-me-not, I guess, is the accord from this flower blend. It's giving you like a forget-me-not. I love that I get this real feeling of Wonderland just because of the colour of the blue and the fact that it's not something I've ever smelt before. It smells so whimsical. I wondered if I detached the theme from this scent completely and not think about Wonderland, it was just an unlabelled scent, if I would be so drawn to it, because I don't enjoy tuberose. And this is the sort of flower that I generally will say, oh no, that's not for me. I would completely dismiss this instantly, but maybe it's there's something so sugary in here, something so delightful and moorish, that it's stopping me from focusing on it being a tuberose, and more that it's just this idea of an accord, a floral accord that's reminding me of tuberose, but actually it is this idea of a forget-me-not. The dry down does get much softer, and I can understand the musk being placed with Dinah the cat. I totally get that. There is so much whimsy in this scent. So let's move on now to the Queen of Hearts. So this is the third fragrance. It's the last time I'm going to do something gimmicky, I promise. I'm hoping I'll be forgiven for this not being a red rose. I think even the Queen of Hearts would forgive me for the beauty of this beautiful pink rose. But let's focus on the Queen of Hearts scent. So let's give it a little spray. So this scent is a spicy rose animalic musk. Bold, opulent, and slightly vintage. But what do I think? What is it like on me? Okay. I forgot to read the card, so here we are. A boozy, jammy rose laid with spices and complemented by a rich and animalic heart. QH evokes the mood of a Victorian royal hall where guests feel uneasy, surrounded by loveless bouquets from a neglected rose garden. The hostess' simmering anger adds tension to the atmosphere. Straight off the bat of this fragrance, I don't even need to look at the notes to know that I'm getting cumin. There was a massive blast of cumin, and I was a little worried at first that was going to be the main star of this scent, that we were just going to get this cumin bomb. It's very spicy. There is a sweet, fluffy element just below the spiciness. I think this is more spice-centric than rose-centric. As the cumin steps aside, I actually start to pick up on quite a lot of what I would call Christmas spices. They're the sort of spices that I think of with Christmas. They're the sweet kitchen spices that you put in your cake, and like nutmeg, maybe cinnamon. I think there's actually cardamom. I read cardamom, I think on the website there's actually cardamom. That cumin definitely brought a real animalic edge to it. I got the cumin, I got an animalic feeling. It's very airy, but it's still quite soft, but there's an animalic soft earthiness. So although I don't really get a rose-centric focal point in this scent, there's definitely this feeling of red, something red and a bit opulent. So I'm guessing that is coming from the rose. There is a sweet jamminess, but I feel like if you're in a kitchen at Christmas time, you're standing nearest to the spices being made into like a fruit cake, and there's perhaps a jamminess coming from, I don't know, some jam tarts at the back of the kitchen. They're having to come through the scent of the spices, if you know what I mean. In the air, this is the one that I keep picking up on. This is the one that keeps giving me this waft of Christmas. And the spices are almost sparkling. The animalic, musky feeling is still kind of lurking there. I like that it is meant to represent sort of the angry side of the Queen. And I could see myself wearing this scent, but just around that Christmas period. So I really do like this one, but it's a very specific time of year that I would wear it. Really enjoyable, really, really enjoyable. So that is my impression of Queen of Hearts. Let's end this video with some final thoughts. I apologise for background noise. There's some kids next door that are incredibly noisy. Just to recap, the Hatter isn't for me. It's a bold, bright, sort of citric, metallic tea scent. Alice, which is a very strong floral, actually. I'd call it a sweet, strong floral, chewy, warm sugar cookie made of tuberose and other soft blue florals. And the Queen of Hearts, we have a Christmas spicy rose, slightly earthy, slightly animalic. It had a really lovely, enveloping, inviting, spicy warmth around me. So Queen of Hearts is more me. I think I'm more familiar with that kind of a scent. It's more my obvious choice. Then you've got Alice, which isn't my usual scent. It's this light blue dress of a character in a whimsical, fluffy Wonderland with so many interesting facets. It's fun, there's sweetness, whimsical Alice vibes. and I'm just really enjoying it because it is different as well. So I guess we shall see. I'm going to obviously wear them all a lot more and get more of a feeling for them. Definitely go and check out Redolescent. They're on Instagram and they have obviously all the images of their fragrances. The bottles of these Alice in Wonderland are really, really cool. They have a black molded top, and you have the Hatter hat, and you have the Alice upside down with her legs sticking out of her dress like she's just falling down the rabbit hole. And then with the Queen of Hearts, you have the rose. They're all really quirky. So yeah, highly recommend you go and checking them out and getting the sample set and seeing what you think. Thanks for watching as always, and I shall see you on the next one. Take care, over and out.